In 2011, the Callahan family moved into their new home in Harlem, Georgia. A military family, they were looking to embrace the peaceful countryside that rural Georgia has to offer. As they were painting their new house, a neighbor would wander over and say hello. This was 14-year-old Aaron Schmidt. Aaron had a very troubled upbringing, where he was abused and then removed from his parents' care. Eventually, the Callahans would take to him like he was their own son, with Aaron regularly coming over and spending time with them. Less than a year after moving into their new house, tragedy would strike the family, and things would never be the same again. Lacey Aaron Schmidt, better known as just Aaron to friends and family, was born into a life of chaos. He was one of 4 children that were conceived from non-consensual acts from multiple fathers with his mother. At the age of 5, Aaron and his brothers and sisters were removed from the care of his mother, as she was an abusive drug addict. This should have given them an opportunity to grow up in a stable environment. But sadly, that wasn't the case. They would be put into the care of a half-sister who was just as abusive. This half-sister didn't really want the kids, nor did anyone else in the family. To them, they were just a nuisance and a reflection of the non-consensual reason they were brought onto this earth. Due to the turmoil at home on a daily basis, Aaron would spend most of his time outside, in the woods away from the house. This is where he happened to wander across Betty Jo, Paul, and the 5 kids of the Callahan family. He would eventually be welcomed into their home and would often have dinner with the family. Aaron would help around the house, doing yard work or other chores. He had become part of the family and was treated like another son. This is something he had never experienced before, and being at the Callahan house felt like he was finally included in a place where he could be loved. Eventually, 13-year-old Alana Callahan would catch the young boy's attention. She was into a lot of the same things Aaron was, such as riding 4-wheelers and spending time outside. But she was also very religious, and her faith was important to her. On weekends, she was involved with several Baptist youth groups, where she would hang out with like-minded people. Aaron would eventually ask Alana out, and the two would start a relationship. This didn't last for long, as only 3 days later, Alana would call it off after her youth pastor advised her she was too young for such a relationship. For Aaron, it's likely that this felt like another failure in his life, which seemed to be a recurring theme. While the two were still good friends, there is no doubt that he would likely have been affected by the breakup. Only a day later after the breakup, Betty and Paul were returning home after an appointment. When they would walk into the house, Aaron was inside, claiming that the rear door was already unlocked, so he let himself in, saying he knew they would arrive home anyway. Betty doubted his claims, as she knew she had locked every door before they had left. She would set strict guidelines that Aaron wasn't to visit the house unless herself or her husband Paul were home. He was also not allowed to visit before 5 p.m. on weekdays, and would be banned from coming over for a 2-week period. Betty said it was important to set boundaries that he was not to cross. This was another bitter disappointment for the young man, who now had his favorite place taken away from him. Not being able to go over to the Callahan household was unacceptable to him. On January 31st, 2011, on a cold and damp Georgia day, Alana's sister Amanda would drive their pickup truck to the end of their long driveway and pick up Alana. This wasn't unusual, as most of the kids would message her when they were almost home to come and get them. Amanda would get to the end of the driveway, where she would wait for the bus to arrive, when all of a sudden there would be a knock on the window. It was Aaron, who muttered, "I'm not allowed over for 2 weeks." He would then walk off with his head down, seemingly upset. Amanda cared for Aaron and knew he was not happy with the punishment he received, but figured in 2 weeks he would come back over and things would be normal again. As the bus pulled up at about 3:32 p.m., Alana would exit the bus and would get into the truck with Amanda. The two girls drove back to the house, where Alana would log onto the computer and go onto Facebook to add some new photos. 18 minutes later, at 3:50 p.m., Amanda received a text from her 9-year-old brother Chase to come and get him. She yelled out to Alana that she was going to pick up Chase and left in the pickup truck. When Amanda and Chase returned, they saw Aaron's shoes on the mat in the foyer, which is something everyone had to do upon entering the house. The only problem is, Aaron wasn't meant to be there. As they walked back to where Alana was last seen on the computer, they found that her chair had been tipped over and there was a red substance on the ground that appeared to be Kool-Aid. Amanda would call out to Alana, but she would receive no reply. All of a sudden, Aaron would come bursting through the front door, claiming someone had taken Alana, and he didn't know what to do. Aaron, Amanda, and Chase would all rush outside, searching for any sign of Alana. Aaron and Chase would proceed on foot, while Amanda would grab the pickup truck. Amanda had told them not to wander far from each other in case the abductor was still around the home. They all headed out to the rear of the house, but Aaron would head off to the right, where he started pointing at a tree, saying he had found Alana. Amanda looked from the position that Aaron had claimed he saw Alana and was confused because she was not able to see her. However, with more important issues at hand, she would rush over where they would find Alana, unresponsive and covered in blood. She had what appeared to be a large wound to the chin area, but it was hard to see exactly what it was because of the blood. Aaron became panicked and started yelling, "The police are going to think I killed her because my prints are on her body." While an odd statement to make, Amanda was focused on helping her sister and didn't process the comment at the time. She would attempt CPR, but was not able to get air into her system due to the amount of blood around and in her mouth. Amanda was left with only one option: to call 911.
Tony County 911, where's your emergency? Ma'am, you have to take a deep breath for me and tell me what happened.
I went to go to my little brother from the driveway. I come back, and there's red stuff all over my backyard, and I found her in the woods.
You found who in the woods?
My sister.
Okay. What happened to her?
I don't know. She was on Facebook, and I'm in here looking, and she's like jumping around, covered in blood.
Did someone get in a fight with her?
Trying to kill her.
Are they there now?
Oh no, they like took off.
Do you know what they look like?
No, I don't know who it was. I got in the truck to come find her, and I found her right here.
How old is she?
14.
Is she talking to you?
No.
She's not talking to you?
No, they're not even talking about blood. She's talking about blood.
And what's her name?
Alana, A-L-A-N-A. Alana, can you hear me? Alana, move your fingers.
Does it look like, do you know what she was hurt with, or was it?
No, she had like a hole in her chin where she was like, something, and I moved.
There's a hole in her chin?
Yes.
Do you know who the people were?
Amanda would eventually pass the phone over to Aaron as she attempted to render more aid to her sister.
Sir, yes. She's got moving, she's got blood coming out of her back and head. It looks like a bullet hole.
Look like what?
It looks like a bullet hole mark.
A bullet hole?
Sir, did you see anybody? You didn't see anybody?
Well, all the restrictions, because I'm their neighbor. Because my house is right back behind the house.
Okay, you didn't see anybody leave the wooded area or anything?
Well, I would come down the road to go to talk to Amanda because of our restriction, and I came down the road on Main Street, And I saw someone run across the road in my driveway. So I go to follow him. And I come down here to go look, and I see the chair knocked over. The back door is open. I see someone lights out the back door.
Okay, you didn't see anybody else?
No.
Did you hear anything, or a car, or anything?
No. All I saw was a man leave.
What did he look like?
He was all dressed in black.
What race was he? Was he white or black?
He was black now. What the heck?
Police officers would descend onto the Callahan residence and would set up a perimeter to try and catch the person Aaron had seen running away. Officers would assist Alana with medical treatment until the ambulance arrived. A search of the house and the surrounding property was carried out, but the black man, dressed in all black, was never located. The situation was overwhelming for Amanda and Chase, who had broken down by this point, but Aaron seemed to be showing no emotion at all. When he did, it was only when officers would gaze in his direction, and he would break out with what appeared to be fake crying, before seemingly returning to normal seconds later. The tragic announcement would come from the EMTs that Alana was pronounced dead at the scene. A bullet and shell casing were located in the dining room where the red stain was found on the ground, and this is where the fatal shot had been taken. It's believed that Alana's body had been dragged outside after she had been shot to where she would be found later. Officers would have Aaron and Amanda accompany them back to the police station for formal interviews to get their sides of the story. Amanda had initially seemed suspicious because her details of the whole event were very vague. However, with the stress of the situation she had just gone through, it wasn't unreasonable that she would forget some details. Amanda said that she only became aware of the situation with Alana once Aaron had come bursting in through the front door, claiming she had been taken. Everything else she had stated seemed consistent, and the investigation would now focus on questioning Aaron. His story would be anything but consistent. Aaron's version of events would change over 20 times over the course of the interrogation.
Your sister, Miss Chitty, is here. And, Diana Chitty? Yeah, she's here. We talked to her, and she knows you're here. And I just want you to know that she is up here, and we have talked to her, and I don't know that we're going to be talking to you, which you pretty well knew that was coming, okay? First things first, tell me what you know happened. I mean, start from the very beginning, and tell me what you know happened.
I went up to the road because I know Amanda comes down to pick her up when it's raining. It was a little bit rainy earlier. When I went up to the road to tell Amanda that I won't be able to come for 2 weeks because I got a restriction, 2 weeks. And I told her everything, and I was going back down to the house. And there's like a little gate right there, but there's a cable hanging there. But I saw somebody run across it, and it was hardtailing it. So my uncle don't like no one on the land, and I had to get him off because, you know, in the past there's people trying to start fires and stuff like that. Or try to plant something that don't need to be there. Well, I went to go see where he went. I was looking around. I went to go see if Amanda knew where he went. Had she seen him or anything? But when I went to go she had to go follow her. She was already halfway down the road with the truck to go pick up a little Chase from the bus. And when I went there, I said, I can't catch up with her in that truck. And I just stopped, and I went to go turn around to go back to the house. When I turned around, I saw somebody kind of tallish, because you know how far distant it looks like somebody's taller up higher, like on that back porch. Well, he was dressed in grayish, blackish pants, black boots, and a black jacket on, and a black beanie on. And he saw me and looked at me and ran. He was white. He was a white man. He ran away down to the creek bank, and I kind of thought that was kind of dumb because there ain't nothing down that way except the dead end. Except a little bit of four-wheel trails. So I went to go see if anything was gone or missing because, you know, how somebody try to break in and go run away. I seen the chair knocked over, and I saw a bunch of reddish looking stuff And I thought it was Kool-Aid myself. Because Amanda kept on saying it was Kool-Aid, and I said it didn't look like Kool-Aid.
Okay.
I went and looked out the back door, and I saw some, like drag marks. Well, I seen that, and I saw a bunch of more good stuff, and I figured out that when Amanda came up, that Alana was missing. And so I went out and started helping Amanda look for her. And I found Alana out on the side of that road. Wasn't you there? Or was you there?
At the scene?
Yeah.
I mean, afterwards, yeah, I came up.
Where she was laying, all out. And I got Amanda, and I got sick on my stomach. I didn't know what to do. And you grabbed the phone from her, and I was talking to some person talking about CPR, pressure on the middle of her chest 3 times and blow. And nothing was happening. I kept on telling them there's nothing happening. Except there's just a bunch of blood running out of her mouth. And that's about it.
Okay. When you came up initially, when you first came up,
Yes, sir.
how did you come up to the house? To Alana's house, not the
I
man's
just
house?
walked right up in their backyard because I go to their house frequently because we negotiate like the family because I have to go there every day and pay the basis that if I'm in trouble. Well, I just walked up and I didn't notice anything wrong because usually the front door is always open. But the back door, it was wide open. That's what I kind of thought was strange.
Okay.
And I went out and tried to follow and run after Amanda and try to wave at her stop. But I couldn't get her attention. So I went back and went up to the house to see if Alana was still there.
Oh, hold on just a second. You said you came up from the trail. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're talking about that trail that you said leads. I mean, where does the trail lead? I mean, where are you coming from?
You know where the white pickup truck is sitting at?
Yeah.
Well, right there, that trail that leads all the way back there to a little gate.
Okay.
That leads in right in front of my house. That's why I seen that person running through there.
Okay. So you were coming from your house.
From the top of the road to talk to Amanda. Picking up Alana from the middle school bus.
Yeah, I thought you just said you came from your house up the trail and you were coming up that way, and that's when you saw the back door all open.
No, I was coming up.
On which side of the house?
On the back side of the house. In the corner.
I thought the main road.
Yeah,
in the
you
front
see
of the
the front of the house, but when you keep on going down a little bit further, you can see part of the back of the sides, the back door.
How far away from the house would you say that was?
A good far ways, because all I seen was the black person. Blackish, but I saw a white face.
You saw a black person or a white person?
I want to say black, but it's not, because he's all dressed in black. But you can see his face, he's white.
And this is the same person who
jumped over the cable.
Jumped over the fence or the cable up towards your house, going down there that you followed.
Yes,
how far in there did you follow?
I lost his trails and I started looking all the way around down there. I'm going to try to say that you know where I live and everything, but it's not. You don't. Well, if you keep on going down there, I was looking around in that field area, see if he was hiding around in there, but I didn't see him. So
instead of just coming on up to the trail to the Callahan's house, what did you do?
I was looking around to see if he went down to, there's a creek down, if he kept on going down that way.
Aaron would be immediately arrested upon suspicion he committed the murder of Alana Callahan. His half-sister, whom he lived with, gave police consent to search the family home. In Aaron's room, they located an iPod, MP3 player, and a camera which had been stolen from the Callahan residence. They had later confirmed with Alana's mother, Betty Jo, that these items had been missing for a period of time before Alana was killed. This would mean Aaron had been in the Callahan residence more than once by himself. While Aaron would sit in a jail cell, investigators would receive word back that the gun had been located. It had been tossed in the woods nearby to where Alana was found. It was a pistol that had belonged to Alana's father, Paul Callahan, that he had kept in a black case in his bedroom. The gun would be sent off for immediate ballistics testing, and results would show that this was the weapon that had killed Alana Callahan. Aaron had a history of taking things that didn't belong to him, and on more than one occasion, he had mentioned to friends or family members that he knew where there were guns in the Callahan house. When a medical examination was done on Alana, it was found that she had been shot from behind at close range. Detectives would press Aaron more about what happened, and eventually his story would change again.
Computer chair, but it's a little bit further that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was holding the gun like this, aiming at the table, and when I did, I went to try to undo the clip. Well, I took out the clip at first and set it down so it don't like reload and take out. Because I know a pistol can do that.
Yeah.
So I just tried to ease that hammer out, and when I did, I hit the table and it leaned it up high. Well, I don't know if it hit high because all I know, my hand was up and that thing went off and it bounced up and it scared me and it scared.
See, that's what I'm saying. The way you're trying to describe to me, the barrel would have been pointed down into the table.
Yeah, but
and we'd have had a shot table. And
I
not a shot
went to go
wall.
try to get down in the chair so I don't like accidents. Well, because I'm real shaky. Because ADHD, that's what happens. Because of the hyper disorder. When I stay moving, well, shaking and everything. Well, so I went to go sit down. So, because every time I sit down, my hands will stop shaking around. But when I did, and it hit that table, and when I hit the table, it moved the barrel like that, and it janked up, and when it went down like that, the trigger went out of my hand, and it flew up, the hammer.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, the way you're telling me, you're down low enough to where...
I'm on this side of the table.
You're talking about across this way or this way?
This way.
No, I'm saying you're standing there, is it shoot this way or this way? Was Alana over here or is she over here now?
She's over here.
She's over there. Okay.
And you're on this end of the table, close to her?
No, this end, over here.
Okay.
I went to go sit down, and when I sat down, the barrel hit the table, and it bounced it up, and it went off.
So you're holding it in your hands like this, and you're trying to get the thing to come down, and you got your finger back like this.
Yes, sir.
And your finger's on the trigger, and all of a sudden...
I barely tapped that trigger like that, and when I barely tapped it, it went...
Which finger did you tap the trigger with?
This finger.
You had that finger wrapped in the...
Yes, sir.
How did you have it?
I grabbed it by the barrel like this. You know how the barrel is? I grabbed it like that. And I eased barely put any force to the trigger. And I wasn't paying attention how fast that hammer was going to come up. And when it came up, it flung up and missed my finger and it connected to it and it went off.
Okay.
And it went.
Is this...
You didn't shoot yourself in the hand?
No, sir.
You're dang lucky. And then you look, and what happens?
And she just leans over and the computer chair falls
And
over.
are you? Is this about where you are in relation to her? All right. She's sitting there, and you're standing here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I've seen.
He would claim that he had taken the gun from the bedroom and was trying to unload it behind Alana when the gun went off by itself. Later trigger pull tests would show that the gun needed 13 pounds of force in order to have the gun go off, making it impossible that it could have accidentally been set off while unloading it. The investigators also found a gun box, ammunition, and an owner's manual for the murder weapon at Aaron's residence, leading to the theory that he had possibly stolen the gun days earlier. Lacey Aaron Schmidt was indicted in March of 2011 and charged with murder, theft, and using a firearm in the commission of a crime. He would enter a plea of not guilty. The trial would begin in February 2012, nearly 13 months since Alana's tragic death. Prosecutor Natalie Payne would deliver a powerful opening statement.
This is Alana Mae Callahan. She was 14 years old and she was murdered. She was murdered on January 31st, 2011. At this point in the trial, I'm here to speak with you about what I intend the evidence to show. And in this case, I intend for the evidence to show you that What occurred on January 31st, 2011 was nothing short than cold-blooded, premeditated murder. His story begins to change. It changes about 27 times. At first, it's this man running through the woods that he sees, and he goes up to the Callahan home just to see if they've seen him. And then he changes the story again and says that it's actually a black man running through the woods. He can't decide what they're wearing, what color they are. He blames it on an individual up the road that he doesn't know the name of. It was this guy. He plays with automatic weapons all the time in his front yard. Never mind, it's not that guy, it's this guy, David Mathis, who lives down the street. For about an hour and a half to 2 hours, he tells these investigators story after story after story. He's constantly changing his story to mold to the facts. The investigators at first are trying to figure out if he is just not recalling everything, if he's shaken up. They aren't sure why he's having such a disconnect, and then it becomes obvious because the truth never changes. You don't have a reason to make up a lie if the truth is better.
The defense would now make their opening statement, with attorney Penelope Donker delivering Aaron's backstory to the court.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was a tragedy. This was a tragedy where a 14-year-old girl lost her life. But this is not a cold-blooded murder. What this is, it's a case about a seriously traumatized, neglected, abused 14-year-old little boy snapping. Throughout this this trial, you're going to hear evidence about Aaron's life growing up. A man to his stepdaughter, they had 4 kids together. She was underage. Aaron's the third of those 4 children. Before he was 5, his mother was extensively doing drugs, physically, emotionally, and sexually abused Aaron. He was taken away by DFACS when he was 5 and placed with his half-sister, who was significantly older, due to the relationship between his father and his mother. And you'll hear from his relatives who will testify on behalf of the state that he wasn't even accepted into that family. There was still some tension. He was a reminder among the family of the dirty little family secret of. When the Callahans moved in next door or across the woods, what you'll hear, and Ms. Payne spoke about this, Aaron essentially fell in love, not with Alana, with the Callahans. He would come over every day, help out with the yard work with Mr. Callahan. He loved them. He was finally accepted. That was the first time anyone took an interest in what Aaron was doing. Aaron loved to work, and so he would come over and he would help out. He was helping out with their house as they were putting their house together. He loved this family. This is not a family that he would ever have really premeditated and done any harm to.
Betty Jo Callahan and Paul Callahan would be called to give statements by the prosecution.
At any point while you resided at 1159 Miles Road, did you ever come in contact with anyone by the name of Lacey Aaron Schmidt?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did that first occur?
When we were painting the house, he come through the woods on a path to the house.
Do you remember what month that would have been?
It was like the first month that we had the house.
Okay.
So I guess in April.
What was the relationship between your family and Lacey Aaron Schmidt?
Aaron became friends with Alana and the boys, and at one point they had wanted to be girlfriend and boyfriend, but Alana had talked to her youth pastor and was told that she was too young.
Okay, so when did they stop being boyfriend and girlfriend?
Like 3 days after it happened.
Okay, and so with this, do you know what year this was?
2010.
Okay, and after they were no longer boyfriend and girlfriend, did he continue a relationship with your family?
Yes, he came over every day. He ate.
It's okay. If you need a minute, it's okay.
He ate dinner at our table. I treated him like he was one of my own kids. We bought him birthday presents and we bought him Christmas presents. And we even took him on family trips with us.
Were there any restrictions on when Aaron was allowed to be at your home?
He wasn't supposed to be at the house unless me or my husband was there.
Okay, and when did that rule come into play?
The Wednesday before Lana was killed.
Okay.
About that
And
week.
what happened on that day that resulted in this rule coming about?
I had a doctor's appointment. I had a procedure done at Eisenhower. We were running like 5 minutes late before we got home, and Alana had already made it down the driveway into the house. When she got there, the door was already open and everything, and Aaron was in the house.
Okay. After January 31st, 2011, did you come to find anything missing from your home?
Yes, my camera was missing. I have jewelry that was missing. The chargers are still missing for the MP3 players and the camera. And I guess that's it.
Okay. Were any of these items ever located?
Yes, we were told that the detectives found them in Aaron's house.
Okay. Sir, I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 224. We just asked you to open that and tell me if you identify with the contents of that box.
One handgun with one magazine.
Okay, and do you recognize that handgun?
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
Well, it's mine. It's just black handle and chrome plated, silver plated looking.
Okay, so you recognize that firearm to be yours?
Yes.
And when was the last time you saw this weapon prior to being in court today? Or
Saturday before, which would have been the 22nd of January.
did you ever allow Aaron Schmidt to fire that weapon?
When I fired, he was never there to fire it.
Okay. Did you ever have the occasion to put the weapon up in his presence?
No.
To your knowledge, is there any way he would know where you keep that firearm? And where did you keep that firearm?
It was in the on top of my far left dresser, under some hats, in a black case.
In a black case?
Yes.
Amanda Callahan, who had made the 911 call to police, was now called to the stand to recount the events on that fateful day.
At what point do you come in contact with Aaron?
When I was closing the back sliding door, he had come in the front.
Okay, and did you notice anything out of place around the computer?
Yes.
What was out of place?
The computer chair had been knocked over, and there was stuff all over the carpet.
Okay, and did you know what that was?
Not at the moment, no ma'am.
Okay, what, if anything, well, let me ask you this. Did you come to find out what it was?
Yes, ma'am.
What was it?
It was Alana's blood.
Okay. And what, if anything, did the defendant say to you when he came through the front door?
He had said, "Oh my God, someone took Alana, and I don't know what to do."
Okay. Did he indicate whether or not he had actually seen this person?
He had told me he had saw someone running through the woods.
Okay. And did you see anyone running through the woods?
No, ma'am.
What happens after that, after he tells you that?
We all left out the front door. After he slid his shoes back on, we ran out the front door to go try to find Alana.
Okay. And what direction did you go in?
The backyard.
Okay. Were you on foot?
No, ma'am.
And how were you back there?
I was in the pickup truck.
Okay. And who got to the backyard first?
Aaron.
And once you come back around to the back of your home, which direction did he go in?
He was off to the right in the woods.
To the what direction?
Off to the right.
Okay. And what happened after that?
He had told me he saw Alana's body, and I had asked him where. He pointed into the direction which he saw her, and we all ran over to where she was.
Okay. And at any point during the conversation that you have with Investigator Evans, Do you have any thoughts in your mind that the defendant was actually responsible?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you think at that point that he was capable of doing something like that?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Even with the pain and suffering inflicted upon the Callahan family, and Amanda in particular, she would make a statement that showed how much they thought of Aaron.
Is January 31st, 2011 significant to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that date significant to you?
I lost my sister and a brother.
Okay.
The lead investigator of the case, James Edmond, would detail what he saw when he first arrived at the horrific scene.
And what, if anything, did you observe upon your initial approach to the residence?
When I first arrived, I spoke to Deputy Lloyd, who was coming up from the left side of the residence. I was out in front and to the left of the house talking to him. I observed Amanda Callahan. She was on the porch of the residence. She was on the cell phone at the time. She was very distraught, crying. I don't know who she was talking to on the phone at the time. Her little brother Chase was there with her. I observed Aaron Schmidt at the bottom of the stairs in front of the home. As I was talking to Deputy Lloyd, I was looking around, I was watching, and he was explaining to me who they were as well, that it was Amanda Callahan and the brother and Aaron. As I watched Aaron, while we were talking, he would start to cry, and then he would stop, and then he would look around. And then when he would see somebody, he would start crying again. He did this several times while I was standing there.
After all of the evidence was presented, the jury would be sent to deliberate. The jury would retire for only 4 hours before returning with a unanimous verdict.
Please rise.
In the Superior Court of Columbia County, Georgia, in the case of the State of Georgia versus Lacey Aaron Schmidt, case number 2011 CR 0436, as to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant, Lacey Aaron Schmidt, guilty of malice murder.
As he had been throughout the trial, even when found guilty, Aaron would be emotionless as the guilty verdict was read out. He would be sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole. Years would pass by since the sentence was handed down, and in 2015, new lawyers were hired by Aaron, who put forward a motion for a new trial on the basis that his former lawyer, Penelope Donkar, hadn't provided an effective defense for him. The motion was considered, but ultimately denied by the Georgia Supreme Court. Lacey Aaron Schmidt, now 28 years old, calls Hays State Prison his home. If you found this case compelling, help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dive into shocking true crime cases. Channel memberships with extended perks such as members-only videos or early video releases are also available by hitting the join button. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.